November 9th, eve of my death. Only 2 in the room. The bell will be rung 3 times. The 3rd ring shall belong to that of my killer. It's over, Mason.
I didn't kill my uncle.
The killer shall lie into the guard of heaven as his silver tongue opened the gates to the family.
Everybody lies, detective. My uncle was crazy at the end of his life, all right? He just wrote that journal to frame somebody he doesn't like.
Like a bastard nephew, pining for his ailing uncle's fortune. How are your travels abroad, Mr. Pearse?
15 years well spent, I hope. Olive! Tell him I didn't kill him! Your husband was off his rocker before he died!
My husband was a saint! He had his moments like anyone else, but he was human just like anyone else. Up until his final breath, Jeffrey Pearse was a man of dignity. I should know I was there.
Looks as though we've reached a disagreement in the family.
Hold on, Mason couldn't have killed Jeff. The boy doesn't have a violent bone in his body.
But a vengeful bone.
Well, that's a different story.
They often share similar endings. The 3rd bell shall belong to that of my killer. You rung, Mason.
I didn't kill my uncle. Keep reading. The 3rd bell shall belong to that of my killer, and you shall know him, for his glass shall be empty and his coat shall be damp. You arrest me and the killer goes loose.
You have broken my heart and my home with this, Mason.
I'm sorry, kid.
Typical Pearse family. Abandon the bastard again. I didn't kill Jeffrey Pearse, but I'm not mourning his loss either. He was insane, going on about shadows and monsters.
We've had enough of this, Mason.
Whoa! Hey, whoa!
Stop it!
Stop!
Mason, put it down!
Mr. Pearse is not game anymore.
Mason, don't do this! This isn't something to die over!
Jeffrey Pearse died over it!
Well, he didn't have a choice in the matter!
Please!
He did! Stop!
Mr. Pearse!
Who could that be?
At this hour, I'll get it.
No, Harrison will be up at this hour. He'll get it.
The journal, Mr. Pearse. Don't make me use this. I'm not as good a shot as I used to be.
My husband's death.
2nd husband's death.
It's not public, right?
No. Only upon your request. On my official report will any of this be made public. Now, the journal, Mr. Pearse.
I found it. November 9th, eve of my death. Only 2 in the room. The bell will be rung 3 times. The 3rd ring shall belong to that of my killer. And you shall know him, for his glass shall be empty, and his coat shall be damp. My killer shall wear a badge of pride and a coat of arrogance. Beware the wolf that howls at the sun, for it shall burn before it feasts. Though it be bitten, bruised, and beaten, in the end the snakes will have it eaten.
Certainly poetic.
Jeffrey was always a romantic. I told him time and time again that he should become a novelist.
Damn it. It means the killer wasn't acting alone.
Exactly.
What is going on? Are you going to arrest him or not, detective?
Alfred! Detective!
What is it, Mr. Winters?
Boy, Alf, the boy. Show the detective what you have.
What is it?
It's a new page, Al.
November 14th, 1921. I've been living in the ground for less than a week, and Mr. Alfred Hanley has neglected to visit my grave. Jeffrey Morgan Pearse. Lettering's the same. This journal isn't missing a page.
Something to drink, Alfred?
No, nothing that I'm afraid.
It's impossible.
Improbable, Olivia.
My dear late husband writes a letter after his death and speaks only to the detective. It's impossible, Ralph.
Jeff must have written it prior to his death.
Master Pearse did no such thing. That journal was intact and complete when I sent it to the detective for investigation.
Perhaps the street rat stole it.
When would he have done that?
I'm simply bringing to our attention the validity of an orphan child showing up at our doorstep with an extra page missing from Jeff's journal. It's highly improbable.
It's likely impossible.
It's downright infuriating. My dear late husband entrusts an orphan with a missing page, but he can't even entrust his own wife.
Second wife.
You've made that abundantly clear this evening, nephew. Need I not be reminded that my mourning isn't as important as yours?
Trust his own wife. January 2nd, 1922. My first entry into what will become a compendium of thought, feeling, and future events through which my life will reach its conclusion. But my book will be finished by another's hand. For now, this individual shall be referred to as the orphan, but he shall find his home by the year's end.
And this kid, you think he's the orphan from the journal? That Jeffrey would pluck some random kid off the street?
I'll bring the boy in, detective.
For an entire year, Jeffrey Pearse lived with the knowledge that he was going to be murdered. For an entire year, he curated his own murder in this journal.
The boy killed.
No? But I certainly hope it's not another estranged nephew looking for recompense. That would only complicate things in an unoriginal way. Besides, I already have one of those. Not to mention a grieving second wife, a trusted, valued friend of the deceased, and a seasoned veteran butler who served his master in his nuanced life as well as his unusual death. No. What this investigation needs is an outside perspective.
Isn't that your role in all this?
Unfortunately not, Mr. Pearse. I am simply a shadow on the wall, looking for a glimpse of the past. Unfortunately, my opinion is ever so jaded as yours, Mr. Pearse.
Mr. Thomas Thompson, at your service, Al.
Thank you, Mr. Winters. Thomas, I have just a few questions for you regarding one Jeffrey Pearse and his journal.
That's all right, Mr. Handley. Go ahead.
Detective Hanley. Now, Thomas, let's start at the beginning.
Did you kill my husband?
Olivia!
Did you kill my husband?
Mrs. Pearse, please, let Detective Hanley ask the questions.
I'm sorry for the outburst, Thomas. We're not playing good cop, bad cop here. Now, Thomas, I am simply trying to understand the timeline of this case. Jeffrey Pearse dies 4 days ago and leaves behind a journal that we previously thought completed until you arrive with another piece with my name on it. Now, Thomas, help me understand this. Thomas.
This is going nowhere.
Take your time, Mr. Thompson. Would anyone like a drink? Al?
No.
Ask him about my husband.
You might want to take her into the hall for this.
This isn't the time, Mason.
I deserve to be here.
As much as I deserve to be behind bars.
Listen, this is not about us. This is about our friend Jeff, okay? Let's all drop it. My dearest friend was murdered in the comfort of his own home. It could be anyone here.
Why him? Why Mr. Ralph?
Me? What do you mean, me?
You haven't taken your eyes off him since the argument started.
Not yet.
Not yet? What's not yet?
Is your next target Ralphie?
This kid didn't kill Jeffrey.
What's coming next, Thomas?
If the murderer's still in this room, then we need to lock down the house and call for reinforcements, Al.
Trust me, Mr. Handley, and trust yourself as he does.
There's no present danger.
I cannot take that risk.
Mr. Winters, I cannot conduct this investigation with outside influence. Otherwise, the journal could be confiscated and made and put behind bars.
How do we know that's not what's best?
Oh, you would like that, wouldn't you?
Ask this kid to stop staring at me. What am I, a target?
No more than you are a suspect. Calling the police. Not until we know for certain.
Do you miss your parents, Mr. Handley?
I bet Uncle Jeff wrote all this so that all secrets may be laid bare.
Impossible! We have no secrets in this household worth sharing with the public, even in death.
Why are you staring at me? What am I doing wrong? Why are you staring at me?
She's not here yet. She was supposed to be here for this.
Who was this meant for? Why is my name written on it?
Murder here in the Pearse estate.
Who killed Jeffrey Pearse?
No, it wasn't me.
Ralphie?
It wasn't me, Liv. It wasn't me.
Prove it.
That's rich, especially coming from you. We don't even know who this boy is. This could all be a ploy.
It wasn't Ralph.
How do you know?
Because somebody else can verify where he was the day of the murder.
Up until his last breath, he was a man of dignity. You weren't with him when he died. You were his best friend and you were his wife.
His second wife. Jeffrey hated me.
Being his best friend, you changed his mind.
I couldn't support us. Jeffrey could.
Did he know?
He suspected from the beginning.
And he just let it happen. Knowing he was going to die, he let his wife have an affair?
Maybe he wanted someone to look after her once he was gone.
You were looking after her long before he was gone.
How could you? How dare you? How could you, detective? How could he bear to look at me knowing what I did?
How could you bear to do what you did?
Jeffrey hated Olivia. Well, not at first, but they slowly grew to despise each other. I made it more bearable for the both of them.
So it was an arrangement then.
Yes.
Jeffrey agreed? You didn't tell me that.
As I imagine you didn't tell Mr. Ralph what actually happened all those years ago.
What is he talking about, Liv?
To expose one secret is to expose them all.
The affair wasn't what destroyed him, was it, Mr. Winters?
No.
What did Mr. Pearse tell you about that man?
He told me I'd be better to trust a wolf than a snake.
A wolf?
Why are you here, Thomas? Why you?
Because I'm their son.
You're not the orphan.
No. November 11th. My death was painless. My killer kind. However, what began as bad intention might yet yield ripe fruit. The field is tarnished and my savior found. Your time is coming. You shall rise to lead the pack. My out, my savior.
Perhaps another round might lighten the mood. What do you say, Alfred?
What does he mean, detective?
Who could that be?
At this hour? Who's at the door, kid?
Ask Mr. Hanley.
Detective?
The orphan.
Can I get you anything, Ms. Pearse?
No, thank you, Harry. I'm sure you have questions for me, Mr. Hanley.
Detective.
I know who you are, Alfred.
Why come back now, Jillian?
Despite being cast out and rebuked by his second wife, my father still wrote me occasionally.
He told me he would stop contact with you after what you did.
Who wrote the second journal?
My father,
When?
when he was ready. Are you?
I'll take that drink now, Mr. Hanley.
Nice to see you again, Thomas.
Nice to see you again too, Mrs. Pearse.
Mrs.?
Oh, I was recently married. Apologies. The wedding was only friends and family.
You know, I'm gonna need to take the room now, Mr. Winters.
Right away, sir. Ring if you need anything.
Well, this is interesting, Miss Pearse.
Mrs., I'd prefer you not lose your manners, Mr. Hanley.
Detective.
Detective have badges, Mr. Hanley.
And married women have rings, Miss Pearse.
I suppose we both lie so that secrets might be preserved.
My secrets are inconsequential.
So you think. Alfred Hanley, former detective, suspended without pay, something about shrinking on the job, the murder of a young girl. The details are quite fuzzy, I must admit.
I was framed
You were exposed.
by a dead man with a journal.
Where's the justice in that? He knew you'd come looking, and he knew that you'd discover his killer. But it wouldn't end there, would it, Mr. Hanley?
What have you done, Miss Pearse?
This family has a dark history.
I am framed by Mr. Pearse for a murder I did not commit, all so I could stumble into an investigation leading to what, exactly? An orphan being reunited with his no-good parents? Why did Mr. Pearse send me this journal? Why me?
Let he who come from darkness spread light into the diseased.
I saw a Mason. He was the last one with Mr. Pearse. I found the murder weapon on Mason.
The pistol in your holster, yes?
Don't cross me, Miss Pearse. I'm one of the diseased myself.
Then welcome to the light, Mr. Hanley. It burns, does it not? This estate must be exposed, and its residents judged. You have no idea what we're capable of. Why do you think Jeffrey tied his fortune to the household? These walls house secrets that, if he had given that money away, would never have been brought to light.
I'm just a disgraced detective.
And he awaited your arrival with the utmost of excitement, for the final piece was falling into place.
Harry! My drink!
You are the final push, Mr. Hanley. Expose us for what we are.
Shadows and monsters, huh? Shadows and monsters, that's all you are? Harry!
The bell will ring 3 times. The third will be that of my killer.
We both know that I didn't kill Mr. Pearse.
Yes, I suppose we do. However, it begins with your downfall, just as Father planned.
So where does that leave you? In the muck of your father's misdoings?
It leaves me in the untenable position of arresting my father's killer, for only behind bars will his savior be found. I'm so sorry, Al, but this family has played you from the beginning.
There he is! The man who killed Jeffrey Pearse, disgraced Detective Alfred Hanley.